out afterwards. Seems like we have a special guest there, Angela.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what.
No, it's fine.
He was sleeping. It's like every time I have an online meeting, he's eager to stand in front of me and scream.
It's definitely, good guest to have. He's so lovely as well. I'm jealous.
He was sleeping all the time afternoon. I don't know why. The ones I open the online meeting, he always show up in front of the camera.
Okay, shall we go for it, Angela?
Yes,
all right. Yeah, so just to set the scene a little bit, right? First of all, thank you very much, everyone, for joining this session. This particular demo class is extra special, I would say, because number one, we are being joined by our regional manager at Lancaster University, Sally Robinson, and of course, Anna Wos, who is a teaching fellow at Lancaster University to conduct this session. Now, I know things have not been very easy at Taiwan right now because of the COVID surge. So again, thank you so much for making the time. I don't want to take too much of your time because, we only have a few more minutes. I'll pass it over to Anna now.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Angela. And thank you, Sally, for inviting me. And thank you for all of you to join the session. I do understand that, it's not easy times. So for you to make your time today, it's really, I'm really honored. So what I will do is, as I said, I'll challenge you a little bit to think about the future, but we'll be thinking about it from the perspective of managers, business managers. But before I go ahead with this, just a little bit of introduction. I wanted to share a few nice pictures from Lancaster with you, because today, unfortunately, it's a little bit gray. So there are some pictures of our campus. And as Adrian introduced me, my name is Anna Voss. I'm a teaching fellow in marketing. So I specialize in teaching social media and digital marketing. But I also have a role as a program director for our business management program. So this is a very special program for my heart, and my interests, because when we're talking about business management, we are talking about this very holistic and interdisciplinary approach. And this is actually what I will try to convey today in our session. How to think about a concept, how to think about a situation or an issue from a variety of perspectives, of different stakeholders, but also from different ways of thinking, which will basically show you how business management works, but also will give you an insight into how management as a field, whether you go in a specialized way or holistic, interdisciplinary, like with business management, how this will work in your education, in your thinking process, etc. And obviously, I kind of always get asked, why would I study such a, holistic course? Why would I be bothered with management? Why can't I just go into economics? Why I can't go into finance? And actually, we do see that employers, quite often are looking for skills that are cross-disciplinary, simply because even if you want to be a marketer like myself, when I was in industry, when I was working, I still had to talk to my manager or to my boss and say like, well, this will cost so much. So even though I wanted to do very creative campaign, talk to my customers and my target audiences, I still had to have appreciation for financial aspects, for resource aspects, for example, human resource. And this is why business management gives you this unique set of skills. And if we look even a little bit more deeper into then why study is such a practical discipline at the university level, or particularly with us at Lancaster, when we are thinking either about specialized subjects in management or the holistic approach to study of this area, we do combine the two. So even though this discipline is very practical and many of our students will go into practice after, so they will go to work with different companies, with Google, with TikTok, internationally, with banks, with consultancy firms, or with smaller companies like charities, startups. They also will learn at the university to appreciate the theoretical setting of this subject. So we will teach critical thinking, we will challenge you like we will be doing today, how to think about theory in practical aspect, or how can we explain the practicalities of management through research. As I said, I teach social media, and, yes, of course, we talk a lot about Facebook and TikTok and Telegram and other platforms, but then we also are challenging. So do you think the social media is the force for good, or is it the force for bad? And some students come back to me and say like, Anna, I really didn't like social media before, but now you changed my life. And this is what university is about, challenging your personal views, develop and shape you as an individual, as a professional, maybe show you a different route that you didn't think existed for your further life. But obviously to do this, we do have to go through the series of lectures, of seminars, of workshops. And I want to share with you today basically how we do this. So obviously, hopefully you will see how this can be translated into your university life. So as promised, we'll be talking about the future of autonomous vehicles. So quite big words there. but basically we'll be talking about the transport modes, the cars in particular, that have no driver. Yes, so you know, right now, if any of you are driving, you have to sit behind the steering wheel and pay attention. Yes, but here we'll be talking about the cars that drive themselves. So before we go into cars, let's look up into the sky, hopefully beautiful skies where you are. And let me challenge you. So here I want you to think a little bit. You can use the chat function, or you can maybe unmute and talk to me. Would you fly a plane if you go on holiday, if you go traveling somewhere, if you knew that there is no pilot? Would you be happy with such a scenario? You sit on a plane, you're going somewhere, and you know there is no pilot. There's just the machine. Anybody brave enough? Adrienne, Angela, would you?
Probably not.
Sally?
Definitely not. No, I'd be terrified, because I think if something went wrong, I like the thought that there's a human being who can take control and that I'm not solely reliant on the technology.
Absolutely. Angela, are you a brave one?
I'm afraid I'm not.
Okay, I will not be asking all our students as well, but obviously I will be pulling on you three guys, you know, because you have your cameras on. So yeah, quite a lot of people share the same views. I must be honest, you know, when I started thinking about this question, I wasn't brave enough either. So I was thinking, same as Sally mentioned, if anything happens, I want a human being there to make a decision, to try to save the plane, to, you know, manage and to overlook the whole situation and make sure that I will arrive safely at my destination. But let me tell you something here. So maybe this will be a little bit of a challenging thing to accept. Actually, when we are on the plane, the pilots are not doing much. The technology does exist for them not to be there, but we still are paying quite a lot more for our plane tickets just to have the pilot there, just to make sure that we are preempting or addressing the concerns that our passengers do have. But the technology does exist for us to fly without a pilot. Okay, but maybe with skies, you know, and traveling long haul distances on a plane is a little bit too far. So let's bring it down to earth a little bit. So similar to self-flying planes, we already have technology for self-driving cars. Some of you may know about, particularly Tesla has quite a lot of technology already, where, you know, the car can steer itself, adjust the speed, stay in a lane, etc. There's a lot of sensors. However, at this particular time, we are still asked, even if we are owners of these cars, to make sure that we are still behind the steering wheel. And I believe at the moment, the driver needs to touch the steering wheel at least every 20 seconds. So there's still this element that a driver is in control, and it is driver's duty to observe the road and actually drive with the assistance of the technology in the car. But obviously, this is kind of like a transition step, and we are working towards completely self-driving cars. But as managers, as business students, as, you know, business people, and also as customers, we have quite a lot of questions. We have quite a lot of concerns. So I simplified slightly the market for you here for this session. And we will only be focusing on these three stakeholders here that I have on the screen. So we will look at self-driving cars from three perspectives. The consumer, so the person who owns the car, drives the car, the company that manufactures those cars, and also the government. Okay, so these are three big stakeholders in this situation. There is many more, but just to show you this perspective, let's focus on these three. So what we'll do, we'll look at all of these three stakeholders, and we'll try to tease out certain points that they may have, you know, certain concerns, and then we'll see how does this link into our management field. So obviously we'll not be digging into what technology drives the cars, you know, this is done by engineers, not a problem, but we need to make sure that we are leading the market, we are convincing people to buy those cars, we're convincing the government to allow those cars to be on the roads. And as consumers, obviously, what concerns do we have? Yes. So guys, obviously the chat function, I can't see it. I will try. Oh, I can see it now. So you can talk to me via chat function if you want to. So think about this a little bit. And if you have any concerns that you can observe from any of the perspectives, please put them in a chat. Just so like, as a consumer, I have following questions, or as government, I have certain concerns, certain issues. Okay, so take your time, put something in a chat while I will be giving you a little bit more of overview. So hopefully there will be some brave people sharing stuff with me as well. Because usually, you know, when I teach, I talk to all my students as well. So this would be fantastic if you would participate as well. So let's start maybe with something that can be quite difficult to think about. Let's start with the company. Yes. So obviously, as companies in the market, we have our products or our services that we need to sell. Yes. We have responsibility for our employees. We have a responsibility for, you know, our shops or our factories. We need to maintain them. So we need to earn the money. And obviously, if we have developed the technology with our engineers for the autonomous vehicles, what would be our concerns? What would be the messages we want people to know, people in the government or the consumers to know? Why these cars should be bought, why these cars are good. Yes, because remember, whenever we try to sell a product, we try to tell people why should they buy it. Yes, so what the company could be saying, why these cars are better than normal cars, the traditional cars. What could be your ideas, guys, here? Any brave souls? You're working for Tesla, guys. How would they market those cars?
Just to get the ball rolling, perhaps the safety features of the cars.
Yeah, so definitely you can say that this car is safer because remember, this car has so many sensors, yes, so it sees the road, it computes faster than we are thinking as human beings. It has the following safety features. Maybe, you know, if we want to attract customers, we can say, look, this car will adjust the speed, so you will never get a ticket. Yes, you will never have to pay the fine to the police because the car will know how to drive without this. Yes. Another aspect, maybe, you know, in certain cultures, there is a lot of issues with people drinking alcohol and driving after. Yes. So you can almost say to the customer, saying like, are you worried about getting, you know, a boss after a night out? Or maybe you're worried that you shouldn't be driving. Don't worry, the car will drive itself. You never have to worry about getting a taxi. The car is ready for you, isn't it? Fantastic. Yes. Or, for example, the company can be thinking about customers like myself. So I do work in Lancaster, but I actually live an hour and a half away from university. It takes me an hour and a half to drive here every day. So, and I'm not a morning person either. So, you know, if the company came to me and said like, Anna, you know what, buy our car and you can just get up, sit in a back, and we'll get you to Lancaster in no time. You can drink your coffee, you can eat your breakfast, or you can have a nap. Yeah, I think I would be sold on the nap, definitely. And it's great, isn't it? So this is something that the company could be saying. But now the government comes in, you know, and say like, okay, all good, all fantastic, but yes, what would be the government thinking here? Yes, because remember, the government as well has always responsibility to run the country, to collect the taxes, but also they have the responsibility for the society to ensure that people are safe, healthy, they have the jobs, they can pay their taxes, yes, that when they are using the country, so like infrastructure, like roads, they are safe, they can get to where they are, etc., etc. So obviously this company is telling us all this wonderful stuff. It's safer and nobody is speeding and nobody has road rage, yes, because the cars are very, you know, emotionless, they'll drive properly. You know, maybe the company can claim there will be less accidents. So the government on some ways will be very interested in this, isn't it? If we can reduce fatalities due to car accidents, if we can reduce drink driving, if we can reduce fines for driving badly, the government will be very interested in this. However, we need to think here from a variety of perspectives. First of all, and this is something that quite often when I deliver this session with students, they forget about. So first thing is, what will happen with all these professional drivers? So we have our bus drivers, we have our taxi drivers, we have our delivery drivers, our couriers, our post office drivers, whoever has a job as a driver. And, you know, if you think that, you know, in the UK, you know, we have about 70 million people in this country, how many could be drivers? 50,000, 100,000? Yeah, maybe even more. What happens with these people's jobs? If these jobs stop to exist, these people will need to earn money somewhere else. These people, how they will pay taxes? Yes, the government needs the taxes. Yes. So would we allow this company to introduce the cars that creates unemployment in our country? Or are we concerned about it? Yes. So this definitely would be something that the government will be interested in. So they will have to think from the perspective of finances, accounting and finances. Yes. So what would be the impact of the lost taxes on the society, but also maybe more from human resources, organizational perspective, when we are thinking about people, how do we reapply these people into the workforce? We know that unemployment, you know, from economics perspective, is very detrimental for the society, is very detrimental for the country. So as the government, you know, even if we are thinking, okay, we'll reduce, you know, accidents, which is great, there is a bad side of this as well. What we do with all our drivers. And, you know, quite a lot of people will say, easy solution, they'll just find another job. But, you know, if you're 20 or if you're 30, it's quite easy to say like, okay, I'll find another job. Maybe I can retrain and work in a shop. Or maybe I can retrain and, I don't know, do something else. Yes, let's say there are other jobs. But there are people who are nearing maybe retirement age, who are maybe 67, who are 60, you know, they were drivers all their life. It's not so simple to retrain people at this age. They often are quite hesitant. They may have limited skills to apply themselves somewhere else. Plus, it also affects their well-being. Yes. So you see how just picking very small issue of self-driving cars, we start thinking from a variety of perspectives here. Yeah. As the company, we're thinking much more like marketers. We want to sell, so we are advertising. Yes, we are promoting the good stuff about the cars. But as the government, we start thinking from other perspectives as well. So we start to bring in the knowledge, yes, from a variety of aspects. And this is just one thing we talked about. Yes, just the professional drivers. But the government also will be interested in what? Who provides the infrastructure for these cars? Yes, remember that these cars rely on sensors. If any of you are driving, you know that sometimes, maybe the sign is not very visible, or maybe the lines on the road are not very clear. And you as a driver, as a human being, you think about it, even if you don't see the line on the road, you kind of try to stay in your place because you know this is what you have to do. The car doesn't think like this. Yes, it's a computer, it's a machine. So in order for the sensors to work, it needs to see the lines on the road. If you drive and you see a pothole or damaged road, you turn a little bit to avoid it, to not damage your car, to maybe not cause an accident. Will the car be able to do the same? So the government will also be thinking like, okay, so it needs better infrastructure, it needs better science, it needs roads being repaired. But this, again, is very big financial burden. Who's going to pay for this? Yes. So the company says like, well, we provide the cars, you provide the roads. Yes. So we start thinking about, debate here. Yes. Who's going to pay for this? There'll be a little bit like, we pay a little bit, you pay a little bit. But at the end of the day, guys, the government doesn't have the money. It's the consumers, customers, the society that has to pay through taxation into the government. So the government said like, yeah, fine, we'll do the better roads. But we'll raise the taxes, for people by 5%. Yes. So we're bringing our third stakeholder here saying like, no, I'm paying enough taxes. I don't want more taxes. I will be driving my old car. Yes, I like my petrol car. I like my diesel car. Just take these cars away. I'm not paying more in taxes. No chance, literally. Yes. So if we start think about it, we are only thinking about three stakeholders here. And we already start seeing like, even though we see certain benefits of these cars, there are some tension points. Yeah, we already had tension with professional drivers. Now we have tension with infrastructure and who pays for this. The government is also our legislative system. Yeah, so our legal system. So think about the following situation. Right now, if you're driving, if you're using the road and something bad happened, an accident happens, who's responsible? Usually it is the driver, isn't it? So usually if an accident happens, there is an investigation. Have you been driving too fast? Have you been driving not carefully? Did you not adjust the distance because of the weather conditions? And you are the one paying for the damages. You are the one paying the fine. In the UK, you also get the points on your license. Yes. So basically you are getting punished. But remember, I'm the customer who sleeps in the back. Yes. I'm driving to work. I'm not driving. I'm in the back sleeping. How can I be responsible for the car that drove into a tree, let's say? Yes. Let's make it a nicer accident. We drove just only into the tree. Nobody's hurt. But who's going to pay for the repair of the car? Who's going to pay for the emergency services that have to attend? I was sleeping. So I was like, well, the road was damaged, so the government has to pay. And the government will be like, hold on a second. No. You were driving. So I was like, okay, but I was sleeping, so I wasn't driving. So the company is to pay, yes? But the company was like, hold on a second. We manufactured the car. it's safe car, it's definitely not our fault. Yes. So obviously, if we want to introduce driverless cars into the country, we would have to think quite a lot about legislation. Into maybe we would need to look into insurance. Yes. So our current systems are really not ready for such a big move, for such a big step. This is also why at the moment, if any of you are driving Tesla, you are asked to still be at the front seat, pay attention to the road, touch the steering wheel, because the responsibility is on you as a driver in many, many situations. Yes. So you can see how when we start unpacking and we start seeing this scenario from different perspectives, as managers, you know, I'm not having any expertise in any other areas. I'm a manager. And even just as a manager, I can see so many different areas of investigation, of concern. And this is exactly how we need to look at anything that is happening in the market. But there is also one more area I want to discuss with you here, and this will be around ethics. Okay, so even if we think about the money, even if we think about the human aspects, so, you know, even if we think about marketing and economics, so these are really true managerial considerations here, yes? But let's think about something that more and more comes into considerations for us as academics, as researchers, but also as consumers. And this is around ethics and sustainability. So this will be quite difficult topic to think about. So, you know, I will leave you a little bit challenged to think about it later. So sometimes, unfortunately, when we are driving on the road, we get into this situation where a crash or an accident has to happen. Yes, it's too late to do anything about it. We are on the road, we started skidding, or we didn't adjust our speed. Somebody jumped out in front of us. There needs to be an accident. Yes. And this is where the autonomous vehicles are not really trusted by customers. Same as you told me about the planes. Yes. We want to have this power that if something goes wrong, to make a decision. But obviously with autonomous vehicles, because those are computers, we need to tell them what to do up front. So imagine such a situation. You are on a 2-lane road and there's nowhere else to go. There's no trees on the side. There is, let's say, big walls on the side. You have only 2 lanes. You are driving and suddenly, out of nowhere, on 1 lane, a group of children jumps out. Yes? Big group of children. They take the entire lane. And then on the other lane, a group of adults jumps out. Yeah. So we're driving the car. We can't stop. We have to crash. We have to. And in this situation, we have to tell the car up front what they need to do. Should they crash into the group of children? Should they crash into a group of adults? Yes. Quite a lot of cultures will tell me here, oh, just kill the adults, not a problem. Yeah, they had their life, fine. But let's change this scenario. On 1 lane, there is a group of guys, boys, men. On another, there are women, girls. Yes. Who do you kill then? Or maybe there is a group, you know, of 2 people or 7 people. Maybe there's a group of disabled people versus able-bodied people. And we can, you know, do a lot of these scenarios. But what do we do? What do we tell the car to do? Yes. And this is quite big research that is happening right now in the world and a lot of consideration. And what actually has been discovered is that depending on the culture we talk to around the world, the answers can differ. So obviously, if you are exploring it's still within the managerial field. If you're exploring different cultures, you will find out that certain groups of people, certain groups in society are valued more or less by certain cultures. So in certain cultures, women are valued less than men. In certain cultures, children are valued more than adults and vice versa. In certain cultures, you know, maybe people who are older are valued less than younger people for a variety of reasons. But obviously, then are we saying to the car, oh, if you're driving in Scandinavia, this is the people you will kill? Yes. There's also a third scenario. Yes. So imagine that you have a group of children, group of adults, group of women, group of men. And the car is thinking, yes, there is a lot of people in front in one lane. There's a lot of people here. How about I just crash the car into the wall and only kill the driver? There's one person dying versus, you know, a lot of people. And if we think about it, you know, not as human beings, as machines, killing 10 people, killing 20 people versus killing one person seems quite an easy choice, isn't it? But I'm the driver. Would I ever buy a car that I would know that in certain scenarios, it would choose to get rid of me? Because I don't think so. Yes, as human beings, as consumers, we always want to think, you know, as drivers as well, that our skills will allow to cause the least damage. Yes, so as a driver, when it comes to this difficult situation, I'll be trying to avoid, I will be trying to maybe go through the middle and avoid people, but I would never say, oh, you know, I don't want to cause too much damage, I'll just take the injury on myself. That's against our human nature. Remember that in a crisis situation, we are not thinking rationally. We are thinking, you know, save my life, basically. Yeah, this is our human nature, and we have to remember this. And you may think like, oh my God, what is this woman talking about? Where is the management in all this? Well, actually, guys, we need to have this fundamental understanding of consumer behavior, for example, that we do teach here at Lancaster, to ensure that however we construct our product, how we are constructing our service, our offering, is in line with this. Yes, we cannot just tell people, well, this is it, deal with this. It doesn't happen like this in the marketplace. You're obviously much younger than me, so you may not remember in particular how this evolution happened. But with our phones, you know, 20 years ago, I'm just trying to think very quickly, maybe 25 years ago, we didn't have smartphones. We didn't even have mobile phones, some of us. Yes, we had the phones. I don't know if you will remember, guys, at all. They were like stationary phones on a cord. They were, you know, in the house. They were not personal. You couldn't text. You could just call people. They didn't have apps. They didn't have games. They didn't have internet either. And then if you want to challenge yourself, you can go on like video services like YouTube, maybe Vimeo and others, and try to find the first advert for an iPhone and compare it with the most recent advert for an iPhone. So obviously new iPhone at the time when we didn't have smartphones, when we didn't have touch screens, when we didn't have all this kind of gadgets we do have now in our mobile phones, iPhone was actually teaching us how to use it. So they're saying, new iPhone, this will allow you to engage in a different way. Because the company understood that they had to teach the customers about the new technology. Similarly, like we would have a challenge with our autonomous cars. We need to convey to people the benefits. We need to convey to people the learning. to reassure them, to address their concerns. Adrian, obviously you mentioned about the safety. Yes, particularly if we are buying new technology, like a car, I would like to be reassured about my safety. So, you know, I would be concerned about completely different things. Then, like we see adverts for iPhones now, they're not really telling you, click here to access an app, and if you scroll this way, you can call, or if you scroll this way, you know, this element of introducing a new technology in the market is gone. Now, if we think about adverts for an iPhone, they concern themselves with enjoyment, with emotions, with being connected, but they don't really explain the technology to you anymore. Yes. So this is kind of the evolution we have with our customers. But without this basic understanding how our customers think, what are their concerns, we wouldn't be able to successfully sell those products. That's why research is also at the foundation of any management's subject area. And this is why you have to learn as a future manager how to conduct such research, how to go out, talk to people, gather data, but also how to analyze it. Because everything we do within management, within business, is informed by insights. Those insights can come from numerical data, those insights can come from qualitative data. But this is one of the big learnings that we do. We need to learn how to work with data to get those insights and turn them into information. Yes? Are there any other concerns we would have as one of those three stakeholders, guys? Because I've been talking for a long time. I'm checking the time here. Are there any questions that you may have? Did I challenge you? Do you have anything you would like to add?
I would be concerned. So you mentioned the iPhone, and we know that every couple of years iPhones are obsolete. So as a consumer, I would be worried that I'm going to purchase a Tesla. The technology is constantly evolving. In 1 year or 2 years, is my Tesla going to be obsolete or outdated? And I'll have to then spend a lot more money to get a newer version that's safer and more efficient.
Of course, yes, particularly with the newer technology, we are seeing, like, you know, how the iPhones changed over the last even 10 years, yes? And you'll be thinking like, okay, so I'm paying so much for my Tesla or for my autonomous cars, whichever company produces it. How will it remain safe? Yes? Will I have to update it, or will I have to buy a new car in 2 years because it's going to die on me, same as an iPhone does? Yes? But also, I think, Sally, you kind of touched on a very important area. We know that computers and technology is not safe from hackers. Yes? Wouldn't we be concerned that somebody, you know, I'm driving and somebody can hack my car and maybe crash it or destroy it? Yes? So very, very well spotted, Sally. There's an 8 for you on a test. Yeah? Guys, so I've been talking for a long time. Any other concerns, any questions about the vehicles? No? I think you like the lectures, guys, more than seminars.
And I found it very interesting, the one that you mentioned about the balance of allowing technology and innovation and all that versus you know, the risk of people losing their jobs. Because this debate, not just for cars, for example, has always been, I always hear this debate, right? So in general, what do you think, what is the perfect balance there? And how do managers mitigate this?
Wow, oh my goodness, this is another lecture here. But think about it. So obviously, we never introduce a new technology that would have such big impact from one day to another. Yes. think about it. The car started this process very long time ago with cruise control, with parking sensors. Yes. Now, obviously, with Tesla, we start seeing that you relinquish the control of the car slowly. Yes, the car is putting the lights automatically on. The car can park itself. The car can, you know, have the lane assist. So the technology is always an incremental change. But as managers, I think you're very rightly thinking here. We're not only thinking about tomorrow, we are thinking what's going to happen in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. But this also gives us an opportunity to address these issues. So, for example, maybe with the professional drivers, we'll make sure that there is a transition period. Maybe we'll start training less new drivers, but still keep jobs for the existing drivers to see them out. Yes? Rather than pushing more people to train as drivers right now, and then we end up with the new batch of 50,000 drivers. We say like, no, to get a professional driving license will become much more difficult, maybe much more expensive, less available. Yes? So then we start seeing reduction in amount of professional drivers. So this is a long process, and this obviously is how all different stakeholders will have to be invested in the process, trying to find solutions. Think about this. There's also a big challenge. The end goal, yes, with everybody having an autonomous vehicle where we don't have car accidents, when we don't have people speeding, when we don't have the fines, is somewhere very far in the future, isn't it? But how will we be coping with some cars being traditional cars and some cars being autonomous cars? How are we going to deal with this transition period where, to a certain extent, we have this emotionless, rational, self-driving car, but then we have people who like driving, like me, and I don't want to give up my car in a way, yes? So how do we go through this transition period as well? So, you know, coming back to your question, there is no right or wrong answer here. There is no balance. There's so many parts at play that obviously those people who are much smarter than me, yes, and obviously much more experts in different areas. I have my small area of expertise and I can advise on this, but obviously that's why the government, for example, has economists, bankers, employment lawyers, advising them, creating, you know, scenarios, considering different aspects there to balance it out. What needs to happen before we move on? What needs to happen if something occurs? Okay, so hopefully I answer your question here, even though I don't have the perfect answer. And I notice here in the chat we have, there are also marketing about using less technology. Yes, Sherry, this is a fantastic point. So, you know, over the last 20 years, I think we're seeing that everybody was like, yes, more technology, more social media, more internet, smart houses, Alexa and Google Dot, and you name it. We want technology to do all of this for us. But we start seeing more and more that people actually say like, I don't trust technology. I don't want technology to take my freedom. And there are people, and there is a trend with digital disconnect, with feature fatigue as well, that we do research, that says that people turn away from technology. So in a situation with the autonomous vehicles, again, will we end up in a situation, and this is where we are talking about technology diffusion model and acceptance, we will see that some people will adopt the new technology quite quickly. They will be happy with this. But then there will be some people who will be saying like, no, I will not have this. So again, how do we manage this situation? How do we convince people? Yes. And you will know from your lives, guys, because this is very exciting time to live in. We do see so much technology coming in and going out. You know, we used to listen to music on CDs. Now we're streaming, but there are still some people who like their CDs. But CDs, you know, less and less artists are releasing CD music. There is less and less shops where we can buy music on CDs. So there are different forces that can steer us, you know, into and away from technology. But nevertheless, this aspect of using less technology is a trend that needs to be considered. Remember, guys, that with the use of technology comes carbon footprint. So we need to think about ecology as well. We need to talk about environment. Because obviously using the servers, the internet, etc., is leaving pollution. Yes. So you see how rich the field of management is here, you know, with all these questions. And Andrea posted a question here as well. Sometimes new technology claims it's environmentally friendly, but actually cause more pollution. Exactly where I was heading. Fantastically spotted, Andrea. Thank you so much for this. Yes. So, you know, autonomous cars quite far in the future, yeah? But right now, a lot of countries are talking about electric cars, using more electric cars. But then if we're starting thinking, but where is electricity coming from? Yes, it's not growing on trees, yes? And in certain countries, like, for example, Germany, here in Europe, they are using a lot of coal to produce electricity. And coal is very polluting, very much polluting, creating a lot of pollution. So even though the whole narrative around electric cars is they're environmentally friendly, they are better than diesel cars, they are better than petrol cars. Well, actually, this is not necessarily true. Yes. Also, then there is also concern, electric cars needs batteries. And what do we do with batteries? We do know that if we want to recycle batteries, everybody's saying that they're very polluting, that it's not possible to recycle batteries. So imagine however many cars there are in the world, everybody has a car battery. And what do we do when they expire? When do we do when they're breaking down? We can't recycle them. They have a lot of heavy metals. So how do we claim that they are more environmentally friendly if we don't solve this issue? Yes. So you see how rich thinking about managing a new technology is, how many considerations we need to have. And this is why, you know, I feel so passionate about managing businesses, because it's ever-changing environment. It's, you know, it's always keeping you on your toes. Yes. So if you want to apply yourself in this field, and particularly if you want to manage innovation, you'll be having so many different considerations and, you know, thinking how we move into the future. But also, you know, you can have very nice little area of expertise, you know, if you go more specialized route and work with established companies and making sure that you get your company always into successful, you know, performance. You can, as I said, you know, in the very beginning, you can focus on one of the areas in management, or you can think like we thought today from different perspectives. Yeah. But all of this creates, you know, this strong links within the organizations that you can explore as a student and then as a professional. Okay. So Adrian, Angela, Sally, I'm done talking because I'm aware of time. So please let me know if there's something I should cover or if you have any questions for the session.
No, I mean, this has been really, really great and very, very interesting and challenging at the same time. Before we let you go, is there any questions from the students? Anyone could perhaps unmute yourself or type your questions in the chat box, if any.
I'm just going to drop my email address into the chat box, Adrian, and if anybody's got any questions for Anna, or you want any general information about Lancaster, if you want to just drop me an email, I'll either answer the question myself or I'll put you in touch with the right person at Lancaster.
Perfect. Okay, so I don't think there's any other, okay, cool. I don't think there's any questions there from the students. Angela, should we end it?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, that if because some of students, I think one account probably is a class, a small class of bilingual program. And yes, and thank you, Anna and Sally, for being support the event today, and all of the students and teachers. If you have any questions, you're very welcome to mail Sally if you want, or you can scan the QR code behind me, that for your individual application if you are really interested in Lancaster University program, because especially the business school is just wonderful and very practical. It's the second demo class we have this academic year. So forgive me for brief Mandarin. 所以同学如果有任何问题的话，你们可以扫描 QR code， 然后针对就是兰卡斯特大学的 program， 你们有什么想问的都可以，或者自己申请的部分都 OK。So thank you very much, and thank you. It's a very inspiring and stimulating discussion that we have earlier. Yes, I think yes, we are fine right now.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day ahead. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you.